This is our chance to introduce our mobile application for BT4U Mobile, and we're very glad to have you here. Very good to have an opportunity to talk about this. You know, transit is the same today as it was 50 or 60 years ago. There's really no difference in how schedules are printed. There's no difference in how maps are printed. That essentially we run these systems the same as they were in our grandparents' day. And there's a need to do things differently. We think about all the things in our lives that have changed over the last 60 years, and transit looks pretty much the same. We're trying to change the way that transit is done, and one of the ways that we're doing this is with our BT4U mobile app. The first thing is that it's making everything easier to use. When you use this application, what you will find is that it's very simple. You may ask me, why can't it do things like do my grocery list or help me fold my laundry? But that's because that wasn't what we wanted. We wanted a very easy to use mobile application. And what this also does is make our bus system, our transit system, easier to use. You will find in this that it is a simple process to go from never riding a bus to riding a bus. And that we'll get you from your house to the bus to your destination. All of that is seamlessly in one application. We want it to be very intuitive. We want people to be able to look at this application and be able to figure out how to use the system and figure out how to navigate Blacksburg. It's not an overly complicated town, but transit sometimes can be a little daunting to someone that's never rode it. So we're going to make it intuitive. And the last thing I want to mention is that this is it's a very simplistic app. Now behind this application, there's an immense amount of work, there's an immense amount of power, data collection going on, but it is a very simple app at the first. And so when you see it, I hope you're blown away by the simplicity, because in a complicated world, we want to give you a simple application that will help you navigate this community. And I'm going to have Jason Harold come up. He's with ACI Nomad, our developers for this application, and he's going to walk us through it.
BT4U Mobile, the one app you can count on. So what makes BT4U Mobile the one app you can count on? 1, it's accurate. 2, it was developed by BT for BT. 3, it has all the tools to plan your entire trip. Let's start on the BT4U homepage. To plan your trip, you can start at your current location or enter a different address. Choose your final destination, and BT4U gives you some real options on how to plan your trip. You can choose Go Now or a future date or time. Whichever option you choose, BT4U will provide the next 3 departure times from your stop and the total trip time. Choose an option and BT4U gives you greater detail, including step-by-step directions and travel times for each part of your trip. If you'd like to see a map of your trip, just press the Map button. There's even a built-in alarm to remind you to start your trip. You can also save your trip as a favorite in the My Trips area to use again. If you want to find the closest stop to your current location, press the nearest bus stop button. BT4U will give you the route serving that stop, next departure times, and directions to the stop. If you want to go home, just press the Go Home button. The app delivers information on the nearest bus stop, including departures and detailed trip information to get you home safely. If you'd like to see a map of your trip, just press the Map icon. The Routes and Schedules button allows you to see all the stops listed by route along with the next departure time. In this example, the Heathwood route was selected. Scroll down to see the departure times for each stop on that route. Select a stop for additional departure times. If you would like more information about BT, press the Visitors button on the homepage. If you would like to contact us, just press the Contact button at the bottom of the screen. So what do all the features of the BT4U app add up to? It's the one app you can count on.
Anyone who wasn't in the project team realizes how long it took us to get here. It's been a very gratifying process. Now this application is part of our TIGR grant, which is Transit Investment in Greenhouse Gas and Energy Reduction. So the idea with this application is that we're collecting information and data about how our passengers use the system. And once we better understand how our passengers use the system, can we modify the system or modify passenger behavior to help save greenhouse gases and energy reduction? And that's where the money that came from for being able to do this. We're using this data to help drive some demand assessment so that we can actually figure out when folks are using the buses so that we can schedule the buses as best as possible. It's really a novel idea. So they use the term groundbreaking, and sometimes I think, you know, we're running buses, but really what we're doing is running buses and using data like nobody else is doing. And that is the, you know, the really gratifying part here is that here in Blacksburg, I believe we have the most advanced transit app in the world. And I don't want to lose fact, though, that even though we're collecting this data, we're learning about how passengers use the system, that the overall goal here is simplicity. We want it for anybody who wants to travel in Blacksburg, that you can use this application to navigate through our system. And what we've highlighted today here is our iOS version. It's available in the Apple Store under BT4U mobile, and the same application is available on Android. And we've released it in both formats, and I'd like you to try it out and give it a chance. I'll take questions if we have any questions about the application. You got any, Duke? Yes. It is free. It is, you know, one of the interesting things I find is that you can go to the application stores and people selling transit apps. I'm not sure how they do it. But if you know, this is free. It is not at no cost to us. ACI Nomad is getting paid, but the application is free, and we see a real value in providing this to our consumer. And you know, we find it important that this is the tool. This is how we communicate with our public. I can answer questions on a variety of topics. So,
what's next?
What's next? So once we start collecting more data through the application, then we'll be running it through models to be able to see if we make changes in routes and schedules, how that would actually impact fuel savings and how that would impact the passengers. Right now, we're still in a data collection analysis phase. You know, I'd like to envision a day where all the buses are dynamically routed and scheduled, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. There's a day coming then where that'll be that way. That the bus will be there when you need it and it'll get you to where you want to go. We're not quite there yet, but this is a step in that evolutionary process. The idea that you have to start somewhere collecting data. Now, as far as BT4U mobile, we believe is going to be the primary conduit to our customer base, at least for the next 4 or 5 years. And the hard part is, and I got the technology guys in the room, what are we going to be using to access information in 5 years? I don't think we can answer that question. I think 5 years ago, if we'd have thought how connected we were with our cell phones, you would have thought we were crazy. And now, you know, I can't leave the house without mine.
So how is this different from other apps in the market for bus prediction, departure?
So most, if not all other transit apps, they're serving you content. They're giving you information about when the buses arrive or when they think the bus will arrive. We're trying to serve up the best content possible so that we're telling you when the bus is going to arrive using the actual vehicle location. So that's one difference. Another is that we've built the ability to be able to collect some information on the other side. And so that we can figure out when people are going to the stops and how many people are using different stops. That demand assessment, being able to measure folks before they get on the bus, is really what this is about. And so that's what makes it different, is that we've built, this is not a one-way street, that really we're pulling some information back from the consumer, back into our data, or into our databases, so that we can actually build a better mousetrap, build a better transit system. Nothing, Duke?
Okay, put me on the spot. If you can, go back, since when you all were in the development stage, the idea, the reason, if you can, just for camera purposes, the reason why you all came up with the app to, I guess if you will.
To use, okay.
Yeah.
So the Tigger project about dynamic routing and scheduling, we have looked at, I think, 17 different methods of measuring passenger demand. We've looked at cameras at bus stops to count people. We've looked at RFID tags. We've looked at Wi-Fi detection. I wanted to put a big rubber mat out and count how many people were standing on it. We've looked at a lot of different technologies, and by and large, what we discovered over the last 18 months is that folks want this data collection to be as passive as possible. And so they don't want to have to do anything. They don't want to have to scan their card. They don't have to make a reservation. They don't have to use their thumbprint. What they want to be able to do is almost not even know it's occurring. And clearly, with our passenger base, an application that serves them up content and also gets me back some demand assessment data seems to be the preferable option. We just finished a survey up over end of last semester. 77% of our ridership that we surveyed has a smartphone. I think that's probably higher than the general populace, but as you know, being here in a university community and being in such a technologically forward area, you know, that's very high. So we feel like this is the conduit to be able to pull some information back so that we can build a better bus system.
And how does it feel knowing that the app launched yesterday, officially?
Officially launched this week. It's been out for some what we call secondary testing for about a month now. It feels nice to get it out on the street, but the reality is that it's going to take about 6 months of me collecting information for me to feel if we've really accomplished our goals. So we're shifting gears. We're moving from getting it out on the street, getting some usage, getting some data, to understanding the data we're getting back, as well as understanding what can I do to drive app usage. I think that's something you'll see as we go into the fall, because we want to figure out, we're making it simple and easy, but we also want to make it where it's vital, where you're opening it up and you're using it every day.
And so what have you found out so far from people who have been using the app? What's some of the things you found out?
I don't know. We haven't done that much analytics on the data. We only about a month. Folks do seem to use it regularly, which I think initially we were concerned that you would only use it when you were making a different trip. So we do see that it appears that they're regular users. I think Jason may answer some of these questions if you want to get a chance, but you know, they seem to be using it regularly, and I think we were happy. We have how many? 620 unique users right now in the system. So even though we haven't done a lot of press on it, we have over 600 people using the application. I haven't had a chance to, you know, you got to get a big enough set of data to really get in there and see what you can find yet. No one else? Okay. Thank y'all for coming. Duke or anybody, we have several folks here from ACI Nomad. If you want to talk to anybody else, I'll be happy to chat with anybody that needs any more information. But thank y'all for coming today.